The alien sky was filled with light as their victory fleet hovered above the ruined Earth. Their ships gleamed silver and gold, like floating cities blocking out the sun. The people of Earth stood silently in the wreckage of their cities, watching. Helplessly as the alien coalition celebrated their triumph, the war was over. Humanity had lost, or so it seemed. On a massive floating platform at the center of the alien fleet, the coalition leaders gathered to broadcast their message across the galaxy. The alien High Commander, a towering being with skin like black glass, raised his forearms and spoke in a deep voice that echoed through every speaker and every device across 1,000 worlds. Today marks the end of the human threat, he declared. The Terrans are defeated, their armies destroyed, their fleets burned, their leaders captured. Today the galaxy has peace. His words were met with thunderous cheers from the alien crowds, their war banners waving in the smoky wind. Millions of beings across different star systems saw the broadcast and believed it. The humans had been fierce, stubborn fighters, but now they were finished. The coalition would rule without resistance. Down on the shattered streets of New York, a lone human soldier lay half buried under rubble, his face smeared with ash and blood. Captain Elias Vaughn forced himself to move. Ignoring the pain in his cracked ribs, he crawled free from the ruins and looked up at the massive alien warships blotting out the sky. His city was gone. Skyscrapers had been toppled. Streets cracked open, fires burned everywhere, bodies lay scattered among the wreckage. Vaughn pulled a small battered communicator from his pocket. He wiped the blood off the screen and whispered into it, barely loud enough for anyone to hear, "This isn't over. They think they've won, but they don't know the truth." Static hissed in reply. Then a faint female voice answered, "Captain, you're alive. Thank Terra. I thought you were gone." Vaughn kept his voice low. "The enemy is everywhere," he said. "Listen carefully. We hold position for now. Do not engage. Do not reveal our hand. Tell the Revenant. We wait." The voice on the other end hesitated. "Captain, they are preparing to erase the last of us. They plan to destroy the hidden colonies." Vaughn's jaw tightened. Then his tone turned cold. "Let them believe we are beaten. Let them believe Terra is dead. When the time comes, we will strike back harder than they ever imagined." He cut the transmission before the coalition patrols could trace the signal. Then he melted back into the shadows of a ruined subway entrance, hiding as a column of alien soldiers marched past above their heavy clawed feet, smashing broken glass with each step. Meanwhile, aboard the alien flagship, the coalition leaders were celebrating the final signing of the peace treaty. A group of captured human officials stood chained at the edge of the Grand Hall. Their heads bowed. The alien High Commander approached them with a look of triumph and spoke into a translator device, sign, "This treaty and your people will be allowed to live under our protection. Resist, and Earth will burn completely." The human ambassador, a thin, tired man, raised his eyes. He had no choice but to nod and place his trembling hand on the alien datapad, signing the treaty. The alien crowd erupted into cheers again, believing it was done. The war was truly over. Far above the scene, hidden deep within the blackness of space, a shape stirred. Invisible to every sensor, cloaked in perfect darkness, the Terran warship known only as the TSS Revenant floated silently among the stars. Its hull was long and angular, like a blade forged from the void. No light escaped from its surface. It was death itself, waiting unseen. Inside the warship, Commander Aria Vale stood at the command deck, watching streams of data flow across her displays. Her face was pale with fury as she saw the alien victory broadcast. The crew around her was silent, their hands gripping controls so tightly their knuckles turned white. They had survived the war by hiding, but every moment of silence was torture to them. Vale turned to her crew. "Captain Vaughn is alive," she said quietly. His signal was weak but clear. "He's And telling us to wait, one of the younger officers slammed his fist on the console. Wait while they destroy our home. Wait while they parade their victory like we are already dead. Vale's eyes burned with cold fire. We wait, she said, because that is the plan. They believe humanity is broken, but Terra never surrenders. When the moment is right, we will strike. And when we strike, there will be no mercy. The young officer swallowed his anger and nodded slowly as the room fell silent again. The Revenant remained cloaked, drifting like a ghost among the stars, unseen, unheard, unstoppable. Back on Earth, the alien coalition began dismantling the last human defenses. Great machines hovered through the skies, scanning for hidden weapons and pockets of resistance they found, and destroyed small human hideouts, burning them out like nests of insects each time they announced another victory. The alien leaders smiled, their arrogance growing. But Vaughn was always one step ahead. He moved through the ruins, like a shadow meeting with small groups of surviving soldiers, whispering orders into their ears. He told them to hide, to wait, to make the enemy believe there was no fight left in them. One night, as he crouched beneath the burned skeleton of a bridge, he watched an alien convoy pass by their vehicles, loaded with stolen human technology. Vaughn's eyes narrowed. He knew that every piece of stolen tech they took would soon be used against the galaxy itself. The coalition was not just a conqueror, they were a parasite feeding on the worlds they subjugated. Vaughn pressed a small button on his communicator, sending a pulse signal far into the void aboard the Revenant Vale. Saw the signal appear on her screen. Her heart skipped a beat. "Captain Vaughn's orders," she breathed. She opened the signal and read his brief message. "It's time to prepare the blade." Her crew exchanged tense glances. They had trained for years. For this moment, the plan had been set even before Earth fell. The Revenant was not just a ship, it was a weapon designed to deliver one decisive strike to the heart of the enemy. But for now, the galaxy believed humanity was finished, and the coalition basked in its illusion of peace. Celebrations erupted across dozens of alien worlds. Fleets returned home, their banners high, their leaders confident and unguarded. No one questioned the perfect victory, no one doubted the lies. Then, in a dark council chamber on the alien homeworld, a lone defector stepped forward. His scales quivering with fear, he addressed a shadowy figure in the corner. "I have seen the humans fight," he whispered. "I have seen their resolve. You think they are defeated, but they are not like other species. They are predators. They will wait. They will watch, and then they will strike." The shadowed alien hissed in amusement. "The humans are broken. They are scattered. They have no fleets, no armies." The defector shook his head, trembling. "You don't understand. They only need one warship, one crew, and they will bring the galaxy to its knees." He never finished his warning. A sudden flash of light cut him down as the shadowed alien raised a weapon coldly, eliminating him. His body fell to the floor as the shadowed figure turned away, speaking softly to himself. Even if there was truth to his words, "It is too late, the humans are finished." But deep in the void, the Revenant waited, silent, deadly, and patient. Captain Vaughn moved like a ghost through the ruins of Earth, whispering to his hidden soldiers as the alien coalition feasted on its false victory, and somewhere far away, unseen by any sensor, a second pulse signal flickered through the darkness, a silent promise that the war was far from over. And above the ruined planet, the alien fleet spread wide across the sky, celebrating their perfect peace, completely unaware that their greatest nightmare was already among them, hidden beneath their very noses, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. A massive alien dreadnought drifted through the black void, its armor glowing faintly with the energy of its shields. Hundreds of smaller escort ships surrounded it, like wolves protecting their alpha deep inside its command deck. Alien officers moved with cold precision, their eyes Fixed on glowing displays, the ship carried weapons strong enough to destroy a planet. Entire sectors of space trembled when this dreadnought arrived. Then, without warning, a blinding flash tore through the darkness. The dreadnought shuddered violently. Alarms screamed across every deck fire, burst from its engines in a brilliant orange cloud. Before anyone understood what had happened, the great warship split apart its hull, tearing open like paper pieces of molten metal, spiraling into the void. Panic erupted among the escorts. They spun in circles, scanning for enemies, but their sensors found nothing, only empty space. Their commanders shouted orders, demanding answers. Then a faint signal crackled through the static. It was a voice, a human voice, whispering two chilling words for terror. The alien crews froze in fear. None of their translators could mistake those words for. They belonged to a species the Coalition believed dead back. On the cloaked Terran warship, TSS Revenant Captain Elias Vaughn sat in the command chair, his face cold and focused. The explosion of the dreadnought glowed faintly on the view screen. The crew around him erupted into cheers, but Vaughn did not smile. His eyes remained fixed on the void. "We struck well today, Commander," Arya Vale said, moving to his side. Her voice held pride and relief. "The Coalition will fear shadows. Now, fear is not enough." Vaughn said quietly, his tone sharp. "They will hunt us harder after this. The illusion must remain. They must think this was sabotage. A defect within their own ranks. No one can know. The Revenant exists not yet." Vale nodded reluctantly. She understood the plan. Their survival depended on secrecy. A young tactical officer leaned forward. "Captain, enemy patrols are converging on the wreck site, scanning for cloaked ships." Vaughn's voice was calm. "Bring us deeper. Into the asteroid field. Maintain cloaking, all weapons silent." The Revenant slid smoothly into the shadow of a massive asteroid, its engines humming so softly they could not be heard even by the most advanced Coalition sensors. Its hull blended perfectly, with the darkness becoming nothing more than another piece of cold space rock. The crew worked in silence. Their bodies tense, every breath shallow. Even the smallest mistake could reveal them and end everything. Vale watched Vaughn closely. She could see the exhaustion etched into his face. He had fought through the entire war, and then through the long months of hiding, while the rest of the galaxy believed humanity extinct. His willpower was the only thing holding them together. After a long moment, she asked softly, "Elias, how long can we keep this up, striking from the shadows, waiting, hiding? We are warriors, not ghosts." Vaughn's expression did not change. "Until Earth is safe," he answered simply. "Our people still live scattered across, hidden colonies. If the Coalition discovers them, they will burn them all. We strike only when it matters. Never before." Vale nodded, but she could feel the frustration in the crew like a living thing. Many of them had lost families during the war. Their hunger for revenge burned hot and dangerous. A sudden alert broke the silence, an incoming transmission encrypted with old Terran military codes. Vale quickly brought it to the main screen. The flickering image of a scarred human officer appeared, his face bruised, his voice ragged. "Captain Vaughn, the Coalition is building something massive on the edge of the Orion Rift." The officer said, "We intercepted fragments of their plans. It is some kind of superweapon powerful enough to destroy an entire world. Their first target will be Earth." The crew gasped. Vale's eyes widened, her voice urgent. "How long before it is operational?" The officer hesitated. "Weeks at most, perhaps less. Their forces guard the site heavily. You must stop them. If you fail, there will be no Terra to save." The transmission cut out abruptly, replaced by static. Vaughn's jaw tightened as he stared at the empty screen. Vale spoke first. "Elias, we cannot let this happen. If they destroy Earth, every surviving human will lose hope forever." Vaughn rose from his chair, his voice steady. "Prepare the ship for deep infiltration. We will find this weapon and destroy it before it fires." The crew moved with renewed determination, plotting a course through enemy-controlled space. They knew the mission Was nearly impossible, but failure meant extinction. As the Revenant glided silently through the void, Vale studied the star maps ahead. Their path would take them through dense regions of coalition patrols, each crossing a deadly risk. She turned to Vaughn. What if we are discovered before we reach the rift? Then we fight until the last man, he said simply. Hours later, the ship neared a patrol zone. Coalition vessels drifted lazily ahead, scanning the area. Vale's voice was barely a whisper. Enemy sensors at maximum range maintained cloak, cut all non-essential power. The lights on the Revenant dimmed. The crew held their breath. The alien ships passed so close, their silhouettes filled the viewports. One mistake, one flicker of energy would reveal them. Suddenly, an alarm blared. A cloaked minefield ahead, one of the crew shouted. Vale cursed softly, "We cannot maneuver fast enough." Vaughn's voice was like steel. "Full stop," he ordered. "We move on." My mark only. The ship froze in place, drifting silently. Vale's eyes darted between the readings. Each mine was equipped with advanced motion sensors. Even the smallest vibration could trigger a chain reaction powerful enough to tear the Revenant apart. Vaughn studied the patterns carefully. He began issuing commands one at a time. Microbursts from thrusters, slow, precise movements. The crew followed perfectly, inch by inch. They slipped through the deadly field until at last they emerged safely on the other side. A collective sigh of relief filled the bridge. Vale allowed herself a small smile. "Elias, that was impossible, and yet you made it look easy." He said nothing, only staring ahead at the stars, as if he could already see the enemy superweapon waiting for him. Days later, they reached the edge of the Orion Rift. A swirling storm of energy and debris lit the void like a violent nebula, and there within its center lay the Coalition's hidden facility. The sight made Vale's blood run cold. Dozens of massive alien ships surrounded a colossal structure shaped like a spear pointed toward the stars, glowing with terrible power. Vaughn's voice was grim. "So it is true they mean to destroy Earth and every colony beyond it." Vale's hands tightened on her console. "Then we destroy it first," Vaughn turned to the crew, his voice strong. "This is why the Revenant exists. We strike from the shadows, unseen, unstoppable. This weapon will never fire." The crew erupted in a low growl of determination. Weapons crews began powering up torpedo bays and rail. Cannon's engineering teams prepared the cloaking systems for rapid changes. Vale coordinated strike patterns with calm precision, but before they could attack, a sharp alarm screamed across the bridge. An enemy patrol had picked up a faint trace of their presence. Coalition ships began moving toward their position at terrifying speed. Vale's voice rose urgent. "We are detected, enemy closing." Fast, Vaughn's eyes narrowed. He stood tall and spoke with finality. "Cloak, the ship, prepare to fire all. Weapons on my command. Let them come close when they believe they have us. Then we strike." The crew moved with deadly focus as alien ships swarmed nearer, their lights piercing the void. The Revenant remained hidden like a phantom waiting to strike it. First enemy ship passed directly overhead, its massive hull filling the screen. Vale's heart pounded. Then Vaughn gave the order, "Fire." The Revenant erupted from the darkness, its weapons blazing torpedoes and rail slugs tearing into the enemy ship. Before it could react, the explosion lit the void. Like a second sun, chaos erupted as the other Coalition ships scrambled to respond. But the Revenant vanished back under cloak, disappearing before their sensors could track it. Vale watched the confusion unfold with fierce satisfaction. "They will think there are many of us, not just one ship," she whispered. "Exactly," Vaughn said coldly. "Fear will be our ally, confusion our shield." As the enemy forces scattered, the Revenant slipped past their perimeter, moving closer to the massive superweapon. Its glowing core pulsed like the heartbeat of a beast, ready to destroy worlds. Inside the command deck, the crew worked feverishly. Vale fed targeting data to the weapons teams, while engineers overrode enemy defenses. Vaughn remained silent, his gaze fixed on the target. Just as they prepared to fire, another alarm screamed a massive fleet was dropping out of hyperspace, reinforcements far larger than anything the Revenant could fight. Vale's voice trembled. "Elias, there are too many. We must retreat." Vaughn's reply was calm and cold. "No, we finish this mission, or humanity dies. Prepare for the final strike." The Revenant decloaked directly above the weapon, unleashing every torpedo, every rail slug, every ounce of fury stored within its hull. The alien structure shuddered under the assault explosions, tearing through its spine. Vale shouted readings, catastrophic chain reaction, imminent. Vaughn gave the final order, full speed. "Get us clear now." The Revenant dove back into cloak, racing away. As the weapon erupted behind them, the explosion ripped through the rift, a shockwave visible across light years. Coalition ships were tossed aside like toys in a storm as the Revenant escaped into the darkness. Vale stared at the destruction with wide eyes. "Elias, we did it. The weapon is gone." Vaughn's face remained unreadable. "We won a battle, not the war. The Coalition will know someone is hunting them. They will search harder, and when they find us, we must be ready." In the darkness behind them, the ruins of the superweapon drifted silently, but deep inside its shattered core, a single alien probe remained intact, quietly transmitting data to a distant command world. The enemy now knew the humans were not as dead as they seemed back on Earth, hidden beneath the ruins. Vaughn's scattered resistance fighters received his encrypted message through static-filled channels, his voice steady and cold. "This is Captain Vaughn. The Revenant lives. Terror lives. The war is not over, and soon the galaxy will learn that humanity never surrenders." The message spread like wildfire through hidden human colonies across the stars, igniting hope in the hearts of the survivors and fear in the hearts of their enemies, for they now knew the shadows held teeth and the hunters were human. The alien convoy drifted silently through the void, its formation tight, its escorts scanning every corner of space for danger. Their scanners read nothing but empty blackness, yet deep in the shadows, the Terran Warship TSS Revenant glided alongside them, cloaked perfectly unseen. The humans inside held their breath, their eyes locked on their captain. Elias Vaughn stood at the center of the command deck, his hands clasped behind his back, his face calm, but his mind sharp as a blade. "They are moving something important," he said quietly, his voice low and dangerous. "They guard it too well for it to be ordinary supplies." Vale tracked their transmissions. Commander Arya Vale nodded, working quickly at her console, her screen filled with encrypted alien signals. After a tense moment, she frowned. "The messages are coded at the highest level, but I can read fragments. They mention a council meeting, and, She paused, staring at one line. "With disbelief, defection. Elias, someone wants to defect." The word hung heavy in the air. Defectors were rare among the Coalition. Their power was built on fear and obedience. For an alien to risk everything to help humans meant something terrible was hidden beneath the surface. Vaughn's eyes narrowed. "Set a course. Intercept. We need that information." The Revenant slipped silently through the darkness, cutting between the convoy ships like a phantom. Minutes later, Vale reported a single small vessel breaking formation. "It's fleeing, Elias. A lone escape pod. No weapons, no escort. The Coalition ships are turning to destroy it." Vaughn's voice was cold. "Intercept and cloak the pod. Bring it aboard alive." The Revenant moved with deadly precision. A tractor beam locked onto the tiny pod, pulling it inside, just as a barrage of enemy fire filled the space it had occupied moments before the Coalition ships fired wildly. Unable to see what had taken their target, inside the hangar bay, human marines surrounded the pod, weapons ready. The hatch hissed open, releasing a hiss of green mist from within. Crawled a slender alien, its body covered in silver scales, its wide Black eyes filled with terror and desperation, it raised its hands high in surrender. "Do not kill me," the alien begged through a translator, its voice trembling. "I bring warning. The galaxy is in grave danger." The Marines glanced at Vaughn. Unsure, he stepped forward, his face like stone. "Speak quickly." The alien swallowed hard. "The coalition. You believe them united, but cracks form beneath their surface. Many races resent their rule, and the leaders grow paranoid. They build weapons to maintain control, but there is one secret they fear more than anything." Vale's voice was sharp. "What secret?" The alien leaned forward, trembling. "They fear you, Terrans. They fear what you will become if left alive. They know the truth of your potential. They speak of it in whispers. They call you the species that must never rise." The crew exchanged uneasy looks. Vaughn's face did not change, his voice steady. "Why come to us risking certain death because my people annex?" the alien whispered. "They plan to enslave us like they enslaved countless others. I do not want to see my world burned like yours." Vale studied him suspiciously. "How do we know you are not a spy sent to lure us into a trap?" The alien met her gaze with surprising courage. "Because I have proof." It reached into a hidden compartment on its chest, pulling out a small glowing data crystal. It projected an image into the air above the command deck. The hologram showed a massive secret facility hidden deep in Coalition space, thousands of ships surrounded, a towering black spire at its center. The alien spoke quickly. "This is the Obsidian Core, a command hub controlling all Coalition fleets. Destroy it, and their empire will fracture. But the leaders know this, so they have placed their most dangerous creation there, a weapon designed to hunt and kill." Even Vale's eyes widened. "What kind of weapon?" The alien shuddered. "It is no machine, it is alive. A predator engineered to sense Terran minds. It will find you no matter how well you hide." The crew fell silent, the weight of his words sinking into their hearts. Vaughn stared at the hologram, then at the alien, his voice sharp. "What do you want from us?" "Help me save my people," the alien said desperately. "Help me stop them before they unleash this creature." On every hidden human colony, before Vaughn could reply, Vale's console blared with alarms. Enemy ships closing fast. "They must have tracked the pod." Vaughn turned to the alien, his voice cold. "If this is a trap, you die first." The alien shook his head wildly. No, it is not trap, I swear. They do not know you are here. They only follow me." Vaughn gave rapid orders. "Veil, cloak the ship, prepare countermeasures, helm, bring us about ready weapons." The Revenant spun gracefully in the void, vanishing under its cloaking field, just as a squadron of Coalition hunters dropped out of hyperspace, their searchlights cutting through the darkness. Vale watched them circle on her screens. "They are sweeping the area in tight patterns. We cannot stay hidden." Longvaughn's voice was ice. "Wait until they close ranks, then strike." Moments later, the enemy ships tightened their formation, hunting for the missing pod. Vaughn's hand sliced through the airfire. The Revenant erupted from the shadows, its rail cannons and torpedoes tearing through the lead ship. Before it could react, two more exploded instantly, debris scattering into the void. The remaining vessels scrambled, but the humans vanished back into cloak, leaving them blind and panicked. Vale allowed herself a small breath of relief. "Elias, we cannot fight here for long. Reinforcements will come." Vaughn nodded. "Bring us to dark speed course, toward this Obsidian Core. We need to confirm this creature's existence before we plan our strike." As the stars stretched into streaks, Vale turned to the alien, who sat trembling under guard. "Start talking. What exactly are we walking into?" The alien took a deep breath, his voice shaking. "The Coalition has ruled for centuries through fear and power, but they know their empire is built on fragile alliances. They began a secret program decades ago to create a perfect hunter one that could track and kill anyone who defied them. They used DNA from dozens of predator species, combining them into something unnatural." Vale's stomach Twisted, that thing is guarding the core, yes, the alien said, and worse. It has tasted human blood. It knows your scent, it craves it. If you approach, it will come for you, and it will not stop. The crew exchanged uneasy glances. Their mission had just become far more dangerous. Meanwhile, on a distant coalition world, the Council of Leaders gathered in their grand chamber, their holographic images towering above the floor. They spoke in harsh, clipped tones about the recent destruction of the superweapon and the whispers of human survival. One snarled at the others. You promised me the Terrans were extinct, and yet our weapon is gone. Our fleets suffer mysterious losses. Another hissed. Perhaps they are extinct. Perhaps these attacks are from traitors. Among our own ranks, the High Commander's voice cut through the chaos. Silence, he growled, whether Terrans or traitors. The result is the same. Our rule is threatened. Activate the hunter. Release it from containment. Let it hunt freely. Gasps filled. The chamber, even among these ruthless beings unleashing the creature, meant risking everything. But the High Commander was relentless. The humans are the only prey worthy of it, and when it brings me their captain's head, the galaxy will see what happens to those who defy the coalition. Back aboard the Revenant Veil studied her screens carefully as they neared the obsidian core. Elias readings show strange energy signatures ahead. I think we're entering its hunting grounds. Vaughn's voice was calm and deadly ready. All weapons full cloak at maximum. No signals, no transmissions, no mistakes. The crew moved like shadows, silent and focused, as the ship glided closer. The stars seemed to vanish, replaced by a thick haze of dark energy that swallowed light itself. Vale felt a chill run down her spine. Something about this place felt wrong, unnatural. Suddenly a low growl echoed through the ship's sensors, not from outside, but from every direction. At once, the alien defector froze his. Scales quivering, it is awake, he whispered. The hunter knows we are here. Before anyone could respond, the ship jolted violently. A massive clawed shape slammed into its hull. Scraping metal like tearing flesh alarms blared as lights flickered. Vale shouted evasive maneuvers, full power to shields on the view screen. A nightmare appeared, a creature the size of a small ship, its body covered in armored plates, its many glowing eyes fixed directly on them. It moved with terrifying speed, latching onto the hull again, its claws tearing deep weapons fire. Vale screamed fire now. The Revenant unleashed a barrage of rail slugs and plasma blasts. The creature howled a sound so loud it rattled the crew's bones before leaping away into the darkness, only to vanish completely, as if it had never been there. Silence fell, broken only by the ragged breathing of the crew. Vale's voice trembled. It is gone, but I cannot track it. It could strike again at any moment. Vaughn's face was grim. It is hunting us, and it knows our every move. Stay cloaked, stay silent, prepare countermeasures. The alien defector fell to his knees, trembling. You see now why I came to you. This thing will kill us all unless you destroy the core. Vaughn stared at the darkness beyond. The view screen, his voice cold and unyielding. Then we destroy it. We cut out the heart of their empire and kill their monster before it kills us. Vale looked at him uncertain. Elias, even if we succeed, the coalition will come for us with everything. They have. Vaughn met her gaze, unwavering. Let them come. Humanity will no longer hide in the shadows. We will show them why terror should never be underestimated. As the Revenant drifted deeper into enemy space, its crew steeled themselves for the nightmare. Ahead, unaware that far behind them, the creature circled silently, its many eyes glowing in the dark, ready to strike again. While in the halls of the coalition, the High Commander smiled, knowing the trap was only beginning to close. The void was silent and endless. The TSS Revenant moved like a ghost through the black, its cloaking field shimmering faintly before vanishing completely. The crew held their breath as they glided deeper into coalition territory. They were close now. Too close. Captain Elias Vaughn stood at the center of the bridge, his hands clasped behind his back, his cold eyes fixed on the forward view screen. Commander Arya Vale worked beside him, her fingers flying across controls. "We are approaching the outer perimeter of the Obsidian Core," she said softly, her voice tense. "Readings show hundreds of enemy ships moving in patrol patterns. If we get any closer, they will detect even the faintest energy signature." Vaughn's face did not change. "Bring us in, slow, silent," he said. "Every word precise, no mistakes. This is where we test the plan, Vale." Hesitated Elias. "If they see through the cloak, we won't have time to run." "Then we don't run," Vaughn said, his voice calm and absolute. "We fight, and we make them regret ever hunting." Terror. The alien defector stood to the side, flanked by 2 Terran Marines, his silver-scaled body trembling. He stared at the hologram of the core glowing above the command table, his wide black eyes filled with fear. "You do not understand what you are walking into," he whispered. "Their fleets are ready. Their hunter waits. You cannot face this with only one ship." Vaughn turned his gaze on the Shah, alien cold and sharp. "We are not one ship," he said slowly. "We are an idea. We are the shadow in their perfect empire, and shadows can bring down empires." Before the alien could respond, Vale's console flashed red, her voice sharp. "Enemy ships moving. They are converging on our vector. They know something is here." Vaughn gave a single nod. "Good, let them come." The crew tensed, some exchanging worried looks. Vale's eyes widened. "Elias, are you saying you planned this?" Vaughn stepped forward, his voice carrying. "Across the silent bridge. Yes, we lure them here. We let them believe they have trapped us, while in truth they are walking into our trap signal. The drones far from the Revenant, deep in the black void, dozens of hidden Terran drones stirred to life. They were small, fast, and cloaked like their parent ship. Each one armed with powerful explosives, they drifted into formation, waiting in absolute silence. Vale stared at the screen, realization dawning. "Elias, this is the blade maneuver we have only simulated it, never used it in battle." Vaughn's lips curved into the faintest ghost of a smile. "Today we make history." The first wave of coalition ships dropped out of hyperspace, their hulls glowing, their lights scanning furiously. They formed a tight circle around the void, their commanders broadcasting threats in alien tongues, demanding the Revenant reveal itself. The crew of the Revenant remained silent, hearts pounding. The alien defector trembled, his voice breaking. "They are everywhere. We cannot invite this many. We don't fight them all." Vaughn said, his eyes locked on the display. "We bleed them until they drown in their own arrogance." Vale gave the order. "Drones move." The Terran drones glided silently into position surrounding the coalition fleet. The enemy had no idea death lurked so close. Then Vale's screen flashed, warning new contacts dropping from hyperspace. Her voice turned sharp. "Elias, more ships incoming, at least double their number. They will encircle us completely." Vaughn's face hardened exactly as expected. Vale turned to him in shock. "You knew they would bring reinforcements." He nodded slowly. "I counted on it. The bigger their fleet, the greater their fall." The coalition commander's voice echoed through open comms, his words harsh and mocking in translated speech. "Terrans, you cannot hide forever. Surrender your ship and your lives will be spared. Resist, and we will erase your species from history." Vaughn activated his own transmitter, his voice cold and precise. "No, you will. Bleed and you will burn for every human you slaughtered." The enemy responded with furious roars, weapons charging. Vale shouted, "Elias, they are locking onto our position." "Now," Vaughn said quietly, "spring the trap." The Revenant decloaked for a single terrifying second, appearing like a dark predator amid the fleet, then vanished again. The coalition ships fired wildly at empty space, chasing ghosts at that exact moment. The hidden drones activated, releasing a storm of explosives from every direction. The void erupted in fire. Dozens of coalition ships shattered instantly, their formations breaking chaos, spreading through their ranks. Vale gripped her console, yelling, "Strike teams launch now." The Revenant swooped from the shadows, rail cannons and torpedoes. Blazing, they struck a capital ship, dead center, splitting it in half before vanishing back under cloak. The drones darted between the enemy vessels, striking and retreating like hornets. The coalition tried to regroup, but every time they formed ranks, another hidden drone exploded within them. The alien defector stared in stunned disbelief, whispering to himself, "It is madness. You cannot win." Vaughn stood calm and unshaken. This is not about winning. This is about breaking them. They think they rule the galaxy because they have numbers. We will show them numbers mean nothing. Against human resolve, Vale's voice rose over the chaos. Multiple enemy flagships destroyed. But they are adapting. Elias. They are scanning for drone signatures. Vaughn gave his next order: detonate the decoys, make them chase ghosts. A cluster of drones exploded in a distant sector, tricking the coalition into rushing their forces away from the true battle, leaving their rear exposed. The Revenant dove through the gap, ripping apart their command ship in a single brutal strike. The coalition fleet faltered, leaderless confusion, spreading like wildfire. Then a terrible sound filled the comms, a deep guttural roar that made every human on the bridge freeze. Vale's face went pale. The hunter. "Elias, it is here." On the view screen, a monstrous shape appeared, bursting from a tear in space, its armored body glistening in the light, its many glowing eyes locking directly onto the Revenant. Even through cloak, it could sense them. The alien defector fell to his knees, screaming, "It comes for you. It will never stop until you are dead." Vale's hands trembled. "Elias, what do we do?" Vaughn's voice remained steady. "Keep firing at the fleet, ignore the creature." But the hunter moved with terrifying speed, slamming into a Terran drone, tearing it apart like paper. Then it turned and charged directly toward the Revenant claws. Extended Vale shouted evasive maneuvers, full thrusters. The Revenant spun wildly, its cloak flickering. As the creature struck again, sparks showered across the bridge. Alarms screaming, Vale yelled, "Shields down to 60%. We cannot take many hits." The coalition fleet seized the moment, rallying under the hunter's assault. Vale cursed, "They are coordinating with it, Elias. They are forcing us into a kill zone." Vaughn's mind raced, his voice. "Sharp drones form on my command channel. All units converge pattern Omega." Across the battlefield, the surviving drones responded, moving into a tight spiral. Around the hunter, their small frames glowing with overloaded reactors. Vale's eyes widened. "Elias, you are turning them into a bomb." "Exactly." Vaughn said coldly, "Ready main drive. Once they detonate, we run." The drones swarmed the hunter like angry wasps. The creature roared, thrashing, tearing through them one by one, until suddenly they all exploded at once. The blast wave ripped through the void, tossing coalition ships in every direction. The hunter screamed a sound of rage and pain, its armored body cracking but not destroyed. Vale shouted, "It is still alive." Vaughn gave the final order: helm jump coordinates now. The Revenant surged into hyperspace, vanishing just as the shockwave consumed the battlefield behind them, leaving wreckage and confusion in their wake. Silence fell on the bridge, broken only by heavy breathing. Vale sank into her chair, trembling. Elias, that was too close. Vaughn stood unmoving, his eyes distant. "They will believe we are fleeing, but this was always part of the plan we have. Shown them strength, now they will reveal their weaknesses." The alien defector stared at him with awe and fear. "You risk everything, you fight like no other species." Vaughn turned his gaze on him. "Humanity fights because we must, because no one else will. Stand for us now, tell me everything about the core, every defense, every secret, because the next time we face them, there will be no retreat far behind them." In the ruins of the battle, the hunter drifted among the wreckage, its eyes glowing with hatred, its body slowly regenerating. It released a low growl, a promise of vengeance. It would follow the humans across the galaxy, and when it found them, there would be no escape. Meanwhile, on the Coalition homeworld, the High Commander stood before his council, his voice filled with fury. The Terrans are not extinct, they are a plague. They must be erased, release all fleets, activate every weapon, find their hidden colonies, leave no survivors. The other leaders shifted uneasily. One dared to speak. If we do, the entire galaxy will rise against us. Then they will burn too, the High Commander snarled. None will defy the Coalition. As the meeting ended, a lone shadowy figure watched from the darkness, a rebel agent disguised among the enemy, his eyes narrowing. He whispered to himself, "The humans fight back. Perhaps they are the key to ending this tyranny once and for all." Back aboard the Revenant Vale approached Vaughn quietly. "Elias, the crew needs rest and repairs. We cannot keep pushing like this." Vaughn finally allowed a small sigh. "They will rest. When Terra is safe. Until then, we move, we strike, and we remind the galaxy that humanity never bows." The ship slipped deeper into the void, engines humming softly as its cloak engaged once more, the hunter's distant growl echoing through the darkness, unseen, unheard yet closer. With every passing moment, the game of shadows was far from over, and Elias Vaughn knew the real battle had only just begun. The galaxy burned with rebellion. Cities on alien worlds erupted in flames as riots spread faster than the Coalition could contain them. Giant holographic statues of the Coalition leaders were torn down and trampled by angry crowds. For centuries, the Coalition had ruled through fear and strength, but the destruction of their fleets in the recent battle had shattered their image of invincibility. Across dozens of systems, oppressed species rose up. They shouted words in their own languages, but one phrase echoed clearly across the stars: "Terra lives." The message had been sent by Captain Elias Vaughn himself. It had been brief, only a few words, but it struck fear into the Coalition and lit a fire of hope among the enslaved. The humans were not extinct. Humanity was fighting back. On a rocky moon orbiting a dying star, the Coalition scrambled to maintain control. Armored soldiers marched through the streets, firing on civilians who dared to resist. The air smelled of smoke and burned metal. A massive alien general shouted orders to his troops. His voice was harsh and guttural. "Hold the line. The humans are only one ship. Crush the rebels before they spread further." But before he could finish, the sky above him ripped apart in a blinding flash of light. The cloaking field of the TSS Revenant fell away as the Terran Warship Decloaked directly above the city. Its massive shadow covered the entire battlefield. Terran rail cannons glowed hot as they charged. A single transmission echoed across every frequency. "This is Captain Vaughn. Terra lives." The Coalition forces panicked. Some fired wildly into the sky. Others dropped their weapons and fled. A moment later, the Revenant's weapons fired. Precision rail slugs tore through enemy armor, striking only military targets, leaving civilians untouched. Commander Aria Vale stood beside Vaughn on the bridge. Her face was calm, but her eyes burned with determination. "Elias, the rebels are responding. Look." On the ground, the crowd surged forward, emboldened by the sight of the Terran ship. They attacked the Coalition soldiers with improvised weapons and captured alien rifles. The alien general tried to rally his troops, but a group of rebel fighters swarmed him, pulling him down. The battle turned instantly. The Coalition line shattered. Rebels hoisted banners high above the smoking ruins. Vale smiled slightly. Another system free. Vaughn did not smile. His voice was cold. "The Coalition will not forgive this. Every victory we claim pushes them to respond harder." He turned to his crew. "Plot a course for the next target. Keep the cloak active until we strike. No transmissions unless I give the order." Vale hesitated. "Elias, the rebellion is growing faster than we expected. Entire planets are rising up. They are looking to us for leadership. If we disappear, they might lose hope." Vaughan's expression hardened. Hope is a weapon, but it cuts both ways. If they believe we are everywhere, the coalition will spread itself. Too thin. If they know we are only one ship, the rebellion dies. We stay in the shadows. The alien defector, who now served as their reluctant advisor, stepped forward nervously. His silver-scaled body trembled as he spoke. Captain, the Coalition Council is in chaos. Some factions want to crush the rebellion directly. Others fear that if they overextend, they will lose control of their own people. Vaughan turned his cold gaze on the alien. Divide them further, spread false messages through their networks, make them suspect each other. The more they fight among themselves, the less they can fight us. The alien nodded quickly, bowing his head. It will be done. Vale approached Vaughan quietly. Elias, there is something else. Our spies report that the hunter creature survived the battle. It is tracking us. Vaughan's eyes narrowed. Then it will come for us. And when it does, we will kill. Hours later, the Revenant glided silently into another system under cloak. Below them lay a vast alien city built around a river of glowing blue liquid. The city was beautiful, but its beauty was a lie. Coalition slave camps surrounded it, filled with prisoners from dozens of species. Vale studied her scans. There are at least 50,000 prisoners here. If we strike, we must do it carefully. Vaughan's voice was like steel. We do not strike the camps, we strike their chains. The Revenant decloaked with sudden violence, unleashing precise shots that shattered the generators powering the slave collars. Across the camps, captives gasped as their restraints fell away. Confusion turned to hope, then to rage. Rebels seized the moment. They stormed the coalition barracks, overwhelming the guards. From the bridge, Vale watched with awe. Elias, they are freeing themselves. Vaughan's voice remained steady. Good. Make sure they broadcast the victory across every frequency. Let the galaxy see their strength. Moments later, a captured coalition transmitter blared across the stars. The message was simple. Humanity fights. Join us. On distant worlds, enslaved beings heard the call. Entire cities began to revolt. Coalition fleets rushed to respond, but they were stretched too thin. In the Coalition Council chamber, the High Commander slammed his fist on the table, his black, glass-like skin cracking from the force. The humans are destabilizing everything. If this continues, our rule will collapse, one of the other leaders hissed. Perhaps it is time to negotiate. The High Commander turned on him, his eyes glowing with fury. Negotiate with vermin? Never. Deploy the purging fleets. Burn every world that resists. Another leader spoke cautiously. And the hunter? The High Commander's voice dropped to a deadly whisper. Release it fully. Let it hunt the humans without restriction. Back aboard the Revenant. Vale frowned at her console. Elias, multiple enemy fleets are converging on 3 separate rebel strongholds. They are deploying planet-killer weapons. Vaughan studied the data. We cannot save all 3. If we divide our forces, we lose everything. Vale's voice was sharp. So we choose who lives and who dies? Vaughan's jaw tightened. No, we make them choose. He outlined a daring plan. The Revenant would strike one fleet directly while spreading false sensor readings to lure the other 2 fleets into colliding with each other. The crew worked tirelessly, planting false signals and cloaked drones throughout the system. Hours later, the trap was set. When the coalition fleets arrived, chaos erupted. Confused by the false readings, they mistook each other for Terran forces and opened fire. Within minutes, 2 massive fleets were locked in battle, destroying each other. Meanwhile, the Revenant struck the 3rd fleet with surgical precision. Its rail cannons tore through capital ships, while torpedoes crippled enemy engines. Rebel forces on the ground rose up at the same moment, overwhelming the surviving troops. Vale's voice was triumphant. Elias, it worked. 2 enemy fleets are gone, and the 3rd is retreating. Vaughn's expression remained cold. They will not retreat for long. Suddenly, alarms screamed across the bridge. Vale's face went pale. Elias, something is coming out of hyperspace directly behind us. The view screen filled with darkness. Then a monstrous shape emerged. The hunter, its many glowing eyes locked on the revenant instantly, its claws extended, dripping with strange liquid. Vale shouted, "Shields up! All weapons fire!" The revenant unleashed everything it had, but the creature moved with terrifying speed. It slammed into the hull, tearing through armor. Sparks flew across the bridge as systems overloaded. Hull breach on Deck 7, shields down to 40%. The hunter roared, a sound that rattled every bone on the ship. Vaughn's voice cut through the chaos like a blade. "Focus fire on its joints. Do not let it latch on." The crew obeyed, concentrating their weapons. A torpedo struck one of the creatures, limbs severing it. The hunter screamed, thrashing wildly. Vale shouted over the noise, "Elias, if we stay, it will tear us apart." Vaughn's voice was calm. "Then we leave. Now." The revenant dove into hyperspace at maximum speed, vanishing just as the hunter lunged forward. Silence filled the bridge. Smoke drifted from damaged consoles. The crew sat shaking, their faces pale. Vale turned to Vaughn. "Elias, it is getting stronger. Next time, we may not escape." Vaughn stared into the void beyond the view screen. "Next time, we do not run. Next time, we kill it." In the aftermath of the battle, news of the Revenant's victory spread across the galaxy. Rebellions erupted on a dozen more worlds. Coalition rule was collapsing faster than anyone could have predicted. On a captured Coalition broadcast tower, a rebel leader addressed the galaxy. His voice was fierce and proud. "We are no longer slaves. We are free. Humanity has shown us that the Coalition can be beaten. Rise with us. Fight!" The crowds below roared in response. Back aboard the Revenant, Vale watched the broadcast with mixed emotions. "Elias, the rebellion is out of control. Entire star systems are declaring independence." Vaughn's face remained unreadable. "Good. The Coalition will be forced to fight on. 100 fronts. That gives us room to strike where it hurts most." Vale hesitated. "And if the rebels turn on each other once the Coalition is gone?" Vaughn finally looked at her. "Then humanity will decide what comes next. But first, we end the Coalition." The Revenant slipped back under cloak, vanishing into the blackness. Far away, in the ruins of a destroyed fleet, the hunter floated silently. Its body was torn and broken, but its eyes still burned with hate. Slowly, its wounds began to heal. It would follow the humans across the galaxy. It would never stop. And somewhere deep in Coalition space, the High Commander prepared his final move. Soon the war would reach its climax. Soon either humanity or the Coalition would burn forever. The void was silent and cold as the TSS Revenant drifted through, deep space under full cloak. Its hull was scarred and blackened from the last battle. The crew worked tirelessly to repair systems, but tension filled every corner of the ship. Everyone knew the Coalition would not stop. Everyone knew the hunter was still out there. On the bridge, Captain Elias Vaughn stood at the command table, staring at the holographic map of the galaxy. His face was calm, but his eyes burned with silent rage. Around the map, hundreds of red markers glowed, each representing a Coalition fleet moving to crush the rebellion. There were far too many for one ship to face. Commander Aria Vale approached cautiously, holding a datapad filled with repair reports. "Shields are back to 60%, she said softly. "Hull integrity is still compromised. We need at least 3 days before we can fight again. We do not have 3 days," Vaughn replied. His voice was steady, but there was a sharp edge beneath it. "The Coalition has activated their purging fleets. Entire rebel worlds will burn if we wait." Vale's jaw tightened. "Elias, our people are exhausted. If we push them harder, someone will break." Vaughn turned to face her. "Then they break, but Terra will not. Humanity cannot afford to rest. Not now. A nervous cough interrupted them. The alien defector stepped forward, bowing his silver-scaled head. His voice trembled. "Captain, my spies within the Coalition Council have sent a message. The High Commander is gathering all remaining forces to a single location." Vale's eyes widened. A trap. Vaughn's lips curved into the faintest ghost of a smile. Or an opportunity. The alien's tail twitched nervously. "This location is deep within the Obsidian Core. It is the most fortified region of Coalition space. No enemy has ever breached it." Vaughn's voice was cold and certain. "Then we will be the first." Vale stared at him in shock. "Elias, this is suicide. Even with our cloak, we cannot fight an entire armada." "We will not fight them," Vaughn said. "We will—" I cut out their heart. The alien shuddered. "The core houses the Master Command Network. If it falls, every Coalition fleet will be blind and leaderless." "Exactly," Vaughn said. "If we destroy it, the rebellion wins in a single strike." Vale hesitated, then asked the question everyone feared. "And the hunter?" Vaughn's eyes darkened. "It will come. It always does. And this time, we kill it." For hours, the crew prepared in silence. Drones were armed and hidden throughout the ship. Every weapon was calibrated to peak performance. Vale moved among the crew, offering quiet words of encouragement, but her own heart was heavy. She knew many of them would not survive the coming battle. As the Revenant approached the core, the view on the forward screen shifted. A massive black structure loomed in the distance, surrounded by swirling clouds of energy. It pulsed like a living thing. Dozens of massive fleets circled it, like predators guarding their nest, Vale whispered, awestruck. "That is the heart of the Coalition." Vaughn's voice cut through her wonder. "Helm, bring us in close under cloak. Maintain absolute silence. One mistake, and we die before we reach the target." The ship slid forward like a shadow. The enemy fleets loomed larger and larger, their engines glowing brightly. Suddenly Vale's console lit up with warning lights. "Elias, one of their sensor arrays is sweeping our sector. If it detects even a trace of our energy, we are finished." Vaughn did not flinch. "Cut all non-essential systems. No shields, no weapons. Total silence." The lights on the bridge dimmed as the crew obeyed. The ship drifted powerless through the void. The only sound was the pounding of their hearts. The enemy scanner beam passed over them once, twice, then moved on. Vale released a shaky breath. "That was too close." "Not close enough," Vaughn replied. "They must never even suspect we are here." As they slipped past the final patrol, the core loomed directly ahead. Its surface was covered in strange alien symbols and towering spires of black metal. The alien defector's voice trembled. "The central command node is buried beneath that structure. Destroying it will disrupt every fleet command system." Vaughn nodded. "Prepare the graviton charges. We place them directly on the node and detonate remotely once we escape." Vale turned sharply. "Escape? Elias, you mean to tell me you have a way out of this?" His cold gaze met hers. "I have a plan. Whether we survive depends on how well you follow it." Before she could press him further, alarms blared. Vale's eyes went wide. "No." "Elias, hyperspace signatures inbound." The view screen lit up as a massive rift tore open in space. From it emerged a shape so vast it blocked out the stars. The hunter, its glowing eyes fixed on the Revenant instantly, as if the cloak were meaningless. Vale shouted, "It found us." Vaughn's voice was a whip crack. "Helm, full power to engines, break cloak, attack pattern delta." The Revenant surged forward, weapons firing. The hunter roared, a sound so deep it seemed to vibrate the entire ship. It lunged, claws, tearing through space itself. Rail slugs slammed into its armor, ripping chunks of flesh and metal away. But the creature did not slow. It struck the Revenant's starboard side, sending the ship spinning. Vale was thrown against her console, shields down to 40%. Hull breach on decks 5 and 6. Vaughan barked orders. Seal the breaches. Focus all fire on its left flank. The crew obeyed desperately. Torpedoes streaked through the void, detonating against the hunter's massive body. One of its limbs exploded in a spray of glowing liquid, but still it came on. Vale's voice was panicked. "Elias, we cannot kill it like this." Vaughan's eyes were cold and unyielding. "Then we do not fight it here. We lead it to the core." Vale stared at him in shock. "You want to drag that thing straight into the enemy stronghold?" "Exactly. It will create chaos we can use." The Revenant turned and fled at full speed, the Hunter in relentless pursuit. Behind them, the Coalition fleet saw the massive creature and panicked. Enemy commanders shouted conflicting orders. Some fired on the Hunter, others tried to flee. The perfect formation of the defense ring dissolved into chaos. Vale watched the chaos unfold with awe. "Elias, it's working!" Vaughan's voice was like steel. "Bring us in close to the central node." Ready the graviton charges. As the Revenant streaked toward the heart of the core, enemy fire filled the void. Rail slugs and plasma beams crisscrossed space, some barely missing the Terran warship. Vale shouted over the noise, shields collapsing. "We cannot take much more of this." Vaughan gave the order. "Drones deploy." From hidden bays, dozens of Terran drones launched into the battle, each one cloaked and carrying powerful explosives. They darted among the enemy ships, drawing fire away from the Revenant. The Hunter struck again, tearing through a Coalition cruiser in its rage to reach the humans. Enemy ships scattered in terror as it rampaged through their ranks. Vale's voice was sharp. "Elias, the node is directly ahead." The Revenant dropped to minimum speed, skimming the surface of the core structure. A small strike team led by Vale, herself, deployed via drop pods. They landed amid enemy defenses, fighting their way through waves of Coalition soldiers. Plasma bolts sizzled through the air. Vale's rifle barked in reply. One by one, her team planted the graviton charges on. The massive alien machinery, Vale's communicator crackled. "Elias, charges are set. We are heading back." Vaughan's voice came through, calm as ever. "Good, return quickly. We are running out of time." Back on the bridge, the situation worsened. Enemy fleets were regrouping despite the Hunter's rampage. Vaughan's eyes narrowed. "They are adapting too quickly. Helm, bring us into attack range. Fire everything we have." The Revenant unleashed a storm of firepower, ripping apart several enemy ships and opening a path for Vale's team to return. As the strike team boarded, Vale collapsed into her chair, breathing heavily. "We did it." Vaughan's reply was cold and precise. "Not yet." "Detonate on my mark." The Hunter turned suddenly, its many eyes locking on the Revenant with pure hatred. It surged forward faster than before. Vale's face went pale. "Elias, it's coming. Straight for us." Vaughan's jaw tightened. "Helm, maximum speed. Draw it into the blast zone." The Revenant raced away from the core. The Hunter followed, ignoring everything else. Vale's hands shook. "Elias, we are almost out of range." "Now," Vaughan said, "detonate." Vale slammed the trigger. The charges erupted in a blinding flash. A shockwave ripped through space. The entire central node shattered, collapsing in on itself. Enemy ships went dark instantly, their command systems destroyed. The Hunter was caught in the blast. It screamed, its massive body tearing apart under the force. Vale shielded her eyes from the brightness. "Is it dead?" Vaughan's voice was cold and final. "Nothing survives that." The Revenant limped away, cloak re-engaging as the battlefield dissolved into chaos. Coalition fleets, now leaderless and blind, fired wildly at each other. Rebel forces across the galaxy surged as the Coalition war machine collapsed. On the bridge, Vale allowed herself a small smile. "Elias, we actually did it. The Coalition is finished." Vaughan did not smile. His voice was low and dangerous. "No, this was only their arm. The head still lives." Vale turned to him, shocked. "What are you talking about?" The alien defector stepped forward, his face grim. The High Commander will not stop. Even without his fleets, he has weapons hidden beyond the edge of known space. Weapons powerful enough to destroy entire star systems. Vaughn's eyes were cold. As the void. Then we go to him. Vale stared at him in horror. Elias, you cannot mean to attack him directly. I do, Vaughn said. We end this war at its source. In the darkness behind them, far from sensors or scans, pieces of the hunter's body floated. Silently, slowly, impossibly, they began to knit back together. Its eyes flickered weakly, glowing once more with hatred. The creature was not dead, and it would never stop. The galaxy was burning. Across dozens of star systems, coalition fleets spun helplessly in chaos, blind and leaderless after the destruction of the central command node. Entire planets were rising in rebellion, their skies filled. With fire as slaves became warriors, and tyrants fled for their lives. Broadcasts spread across every channel, showing the image of a Terran warship appearing from the shadows and striking down the coalition's might. The message was simple and terrifying Terra lives. On the bridge of the TSS Revenant, the crew watched these broadcasts in silence. The main holoscreen displayed images of revolutions unfolding from one side of the galaxy to the other. The coalition was collapsing, but Captain Elias Vaughn's face remained cold and unreadable as he stared at the Chaos Commander. Arya Vale allowed herself a small smile at the sight of liberated worlds. "It is working," she said softly. "The galaxy is finally breaking free." Vaughn did not look at her. The galaxy is not free, yet he said, his voice was calm but sharp like a blade. "It is only in transition. One empire falls and another rises. If we do not end this now, someone else will take the coalition's place." Vale frowned. "Elias, we destroyed their central node. Their fleets are crippled. They cannot recover." Vaughn finally turned to her, his eyes hard as stone. "You still do not understand. Their leader, the High Commander, has weapons hidden beyond known space, weapons that do not need fleets. If he uses them entire, star systems will vanish." The alien defector stepped forward, trembling. His silver-scaled skin shimmered under the dim lights of the bridge. He bowed his head before speaking. "Captain Vaughn speaks truth. I once heard whispers of these weapons. They are ancient, far older than the coalition itself. The High Commander guards them in a place called the Black Moor. No map shows its location. It exists only in secret coordinates held by the commander himself." Vale's heart sank. "Elias, if these weapons are real, they could undo everything we have fought for." Vaughn's voice was like iron. "That is why we must strike now, before he has time to activate them." Vale shook her head. "This is madness, Elias. We barely survived the core. The Revenant is damaged, and our crew is exhausted." Vaughn stepped closer, his voice dropping to a low growl. "If we wait, worlds will burn. If we strike now, we end the war forever." The alien defector hesitated. "There is one way to reach the Black Moor, a hidden hyperspace gate buried deep inside coalition territory, but the approach is guarded by the most loyal fleet left to the High Commander." Vaughn's cold smile appeared briefly. "Good, we will break them too." Vale looked at him in disbelief. "And if we fail, then humanity dies and the galaxy burns," Vaughn replied without hesitation. Silence filled the bridge for a long moment before Vale finally nodded. "Then we do not fail." The Revenant moved through space under cloak engines, humming softly like a predator stalking prey. The crew worked tirelessly, repairing systems and rearming weapons. Every corridor buzzed with tense energy as they prepared for what could be their final mission. Vale walked among them, offering quiet words of encouragement. But even she could feel the fear beneath their determination. Everyone knew this mission was suicide. When the Revenant reached the coordinates provided by the defector, the forward screen lit up with the sight of a massive defense array. A vast ring of stations and ships surrounded. A glowing hyperspace gate like teeth around a throat veil's breath caught Elias. There are hundreds of ships here. Vaughn studied the formation with cold precision. They are spread too evenly. He tapped a control and highlighted several weak points. In the ring, if we strike here, here, and here, they will collapse inward, creating a gap wide enough for us to slip through. Vale stared at the highlighted points Elias that would require perfect timing. One mistake, and they will surround us, Vaughn's expression did not change. Then we will not make mistakes. As the Revenant crept closer under cloak, Vale's console flashed with a sudden warning. Elias, multiple hyperspace signatures inbound. The view screen filled with darkness as something massive emerged from hyperspace. The hunter Vale's face went pale. No, it cannot be alive. We killed it, Elias. We saw it. Vaughn's voice was like ice. It survived. Somehow it always survives. The hunter's glowing eyes locked onto the Revenant. Instantly it roared a deep, horrible sound that vibrated through the hull of the ship. Then it charged, moving faster than any coalition vessel. Vale shouted, "Shields up, all weapons!" Fire rail, slugs and torpedoes streaked through space, slamming into the creatures. Armored hide pieces of its body shattered away, but still it came on. Its claws struck the Revenant, sending the ship tumbling, alarms screaming through every deck hull breach. On deck 7. Shields down to 30%, Vale shouted over the chaos. "Elias, we cannot fight this thing." And the fleet Vaughn's voice cut through the noise like a blade. "We will not fight both. We will use one against the other." Vale's eyes widened. "Elias, no, you cannot mean." But he did. "Helm, bring us straight toward the defense fleet." Vaughn ordered weapons. "Hold fire. Do not engage." The Revenant turned and fled directly at the massive ring of coalition ships. The hunter followed in a blind rage on the coalition flagship. A commander barked orders in its guttural alien tongue. Their translators converted the message into harsh words. Through the bridge speakers, Terran ship detected. Engage at once. But before they could fire, the hunter slammed into their formation, tearing through cruisers like paper. The coalition ships opened fire on the creature, thinking it was part of the Terran attack. Chaos exploded instantly. Vale stared in disbelief. "Elias, you just turned their defense fleet into bait." Vaughn's cold smile was thin and sharp. "They will destroy each other. While we slip through the gate." The Revenant dove through the chaos, weaving between wreckage and explosions. The hunter roared behind them, ripping apart another cruiser before following. Vale shouted, "Gate directly ahead. 500 kilometers and..." In closing, Vaughn's voice was calm and precise. "Full speed, cloak, disengage now. Let them see us." The Revenant decloaked, blazing with weapon fire as it surged toward the gate. Enemy ships focused all their attacks on the Terran warship, leaving the hunter momentarily ignored. Vale realized the plan. "Elias, you are making yourself the target so the hunter can strike them from behind." "Exactly," Vaughn said. "Now fire everything." Rail cannons thundered. Torpedoes streaked into the ring stations, detonating in blinding flashes. The coalition fleet turned to respond, but it was too late. The hunter crashed into their rear lines, tearing through battleships and stations alike. The Revenant shot through the hyperspace gate in the confusion, vanishing into a swirling vortex of light. Vale slumped back in her chair, breathing hard. "Elias, we made it." Vaughn's voice remained steady. "Do not relax. We are entering the Black Moor." The view shifted as they emerged from hyperspace. Vale gasped at what she saw. Before them stretched a region of space unlike anything they had ever encountered. Black, swirling clouds of energy twisted around broken chunks of ancient structures. Massive monoliths floated silently, glowing with strange symbols. The alien defector's voice was filled with fear. "This place is older than the Coalition, older than any empire. It was built by those who came before and abandoned for a reason." Vale's skin crawled. Elias, what kind of weapons are hidden? Here, Vaughan's expression was unreadable. The kind that can end entire civilizations. As the Revenant moved deeper into the Black Maw, strange readings began to spike. Vale frowned at her console. Elias, I'm detecting massive power surges ahead. Before she could say more, a colossal structure appeared. In the distance, shaped like a jagged spear, it pulsed with dark light at its tip. The alien defector fell to his knees. That is the High Commander's weapon, a world piercer. It can tear apart planets from their cores. Vale's voice was horrified. Elias, if he activates that thing, he can destroy rebel worlds in seconds. Vaughan's voice was calm, but deadly. Then we stop him here. As they approached the weapon, enemy ships emerged from hiding, dozens of them surrounding the Revenant. Vale shouted, "We are." Surrounded, Vaughan did not flinch. Arm all weapons, fire at will. The void erupted into chaos. Rail slugs and plasma beams crisscrossed space. The Revenant spun and weaved, delivering deadly strikes. While taking heavy damage, Vale's console sparked violently. Shields down to 20%, engines failing. Suddenly, a deep, guttural voice filled the comms, the High Commander himself. His words were translated into chilling clarity. "Terrans, you have brought ruin to my empire. You think you are free, but you are only children playing at war. Witness true power." The massive spear-like weapon began to glow brighter. Energy gathered at its tip. Vale's face went pale. "Elias, he is powering the world." Piercer Vaughan's voice was cold. "Helm, bring us directly toward it. Prepare the last of the graviton charges." Vale stared at him in shock. "Elias, that is suicide. If we do not destroy it, the galaxy dies." Vaughan said simply. The Revenant dove through enemy fire, racing toward the glowing weapon. Enemy ships tried to intercept, but the Hunter suddenly burst from hyperspace behind them. It had followed. The creature roared and attacked the coalition forces with wild fury, tearing through their ranks. Vale screamed, "Elias, the Hunter is here. It will kill us all." Vaughan's voice remained calm. "Let it fight our enemies. Focus on the weapon." The Revenant closed in on the world piercer. Vale armed the graviton charges manually. Her hands trembled as she worked. "If this fails, there will be nothing left of us." "Elias, it will not fail," Vaughan said with cold certainty. At the last moment, the Revenant dropped the charges directly into the weapon's core, then veered away at maximum speed. Vale shouted, "Detonate!" The explosion was blinding. A shockwave tore through the Black Maw, ripping apart the ancient structure. The weapon imploded on itself, collapsing into a swirling black void. Enemy ships were dragged into the collapse, screaming over comms before they vanished into nothingness. The Hunter roared as the implosion pulled it backward. Its glowing eyes locked on the Revenant one final time before it disappeared into the void. The Revenant barely escaped, engines burning white-hot as it surged away. Silence fell on the bridge. Vale gasped for breath. "Elias, did we do it?" Vaughan stared at the collapsing vortex behind them. His voice was low and cold. "We destroyed the weapon, but the war is not over." "Not yet." Vale turned to him, confused. "Elias, what could possibly be worse than this?" Vaughan's eyes were like ice. "The High Commander is still alive, and now he will come for us himself." The Revenant limped deeper into uncharted space, disappearing into the shadows as the galaxy trembled before the final confrontation yet to come. The galaxy was silent for a moment after the destruction of the world piercer, but it was a silence full of fear and rage. The void itself seemed to hold its breath, as if waiting for what came next. On the battered bridge of the Terran warship, Revenant smoke curled from shattered consoles. The crew worked frantically to repair systems, their hands trembling from exhaustion. Vale leaned heavily against her station, her face pale, her breathing ragged. "Elias, we destroyed the weapon. We ended his plan. This should be over, Captain." Elias Vaughan stood in the center of the bridge, his face a cold mask as he stared at the fading swirl of the black maw. "It is not over," he said flatly. "The High Commander lives, and he will come for us. He will not stop until every trace of humanity is erased." The alien defector knelt nearby, his silver-scaled skin dulled with fear. His voice shook when he spoke. "I have seen the High Commander enraged. Entire worlds have been burned for lesser insults. You cannot fight him directly, Captain. He will bring everything." Vaughn turned, his gaze to the defector, his voice quiet but unyielding. "Then we will bring more. We will end him or die." Trying Vale spun to face him. "Elias, we are barely alive. The Revenant is half destroyed. We do not have the strength for another battle." Vaughn's eyes were like ice. "We do not need strength, we need precision. This ends with one strike one." Kill alarms suddenly blared through the bridge. Vale's console lit up with warnings. "Elias, multiple hyperspace signatures inbound." The forward view screen flashed and filled with terror. A fleet larger than anything they had faced before erupted into normal space. Hundreds of coalition warships in tight formation, bristling with weapons. At their center loomed a colossal flagship, black and jagged, like a living blade. Vale whispered in horror. He brought everything. The alien defector's voice was barely a breath. "That is his personal ship, the Dominion. No vessel has ever survived." Its guns, Vaughn's face, did not change. "Helm, bring us about. Prepare for." Cloakvale grabbed his arm. "Elias, we cannot run. They will track us through." Vaughn shook his head. "We are not running. We are hunting." The Dominion opened fire, a storm of energy beams and torpedoes filling the void. The Revenant dove and twisted through, the barrage barely avoiding destruction. Armor plates buckled, alarms screamed. Vale shouted, "Shields down to 15%, engines failing. We cannot take much more." Elias Vaughn's voice was calm. "Helm, head directly for the asteroid cluster to port. We will lose them there." Vale stared at him. "Elias, that is a dead zone. No navigation, no sensors." "Exactly," Vaughn said. "It will blind them as much as us." The Revenant plunged into the asteroid field. Massive rocks spun and collided in the darkness. Enemy ships followed, but their formation broke apart in the chaotic terrain. Collisions lit up the field with bursts of fire. Vale gritted her teeth. "Elias, we are trapped in here. They will box us in and crush us." Vaughn's eyes were cold. "We will not stay trapped. We will use this place against them." He ordered all power to engines and weapons. The Revenant darted between spinning asteroids, firing torpedoes into unstable clusters. Each detonation sent a chain reaction through the field, creating walls of debris that smashed pursuing ships. Vale realized his plan. "Elias, you are turning the field into a weapon." Vaughn's voice was like steel. "Exactly." But even as they destroyed enemy pursuers, the Dominion itself advanced. Its massive guns blasted apart entire asteroids. And clearing a path, Vale's heart sank. "Elias, it is unstoppable." Vaughn studied the readouts with cold focus. Not unstoppable, merely predictable. The alien defector suddenly cried out, "Captain, I can access their encrypted frequencies. I can hear the High Commander. He knows what you are doing. He is coming personally." Vale froze. The High Commander himself here. The view screen flickered and a monstrous face appeared. Scaled skin like obsidian eyes burning with hatred. His voice filled the bridge through. The translator, "Terran insects. You defy me, you destroy my works and kill my fleets. I will rip the stars from the sky to erase your kind." Vaughn did not flinch. "Your empire is dead, you just have not realized it yet." The High Commander snarled, "You think one warship can defeat me? I am the will of the galaxy itself. You are nothing." Vaughn's voice dropped to a cold whisper. "Then we will kill a god." The image vanished, and the Dominion surged forward, blasting apart everything in its path. Vale shouted, "Elias, it is closing fast. What do we do? Vaughan's voice was calm. Helm, set course for the largest asteroid cluster ahead. Prepare to eject the core. Vale's eyes widened. Elias, no. That will destroy us. Vaughan looked at her with iron certainty. It will destroy him if we time it perfectly. The Revenant sped toward a massive cluster of asteroids. The Dominion followed, eager for the kill. Enemy fire hammered the Terran ship, tearing away hull sections. Crew screamed as fires spread through multiple decks. Vale's console exploded in sparks. Shields gone. Engines failing. Elias, we cannot make it. You will make it, Vaughan said coldly, because failure is not an option. As they neared the cluster, Vaughan gave the final order. Core eject now. The ship shuddered as its reactor. Core was launched into the cluster, a glowing sphere of unstable energy tumbling among the asteroids. Vale stared in shock. Elias, the explosion will destroy everything in this sector. Vaughan's voice was calm. Helm, turn hard starboard. Maximum speed. The Revenant veered sharply away just as the Dominion entered the cluster. The High Commander realized the trap too late. His massive flagship tried to turn, but the unstable energy reached critical mass. A blinding explosion consumed the cluster. A shockwave ripped through space, tearing the Dominion apart in a violent storm of fire and debris. Vale shielded her eyes as alarms wailed. Elias did. Vaughan's voice was low and cold. It is not over. Not yet. Through the fading fire, a single small craft emerged. Sleek and deadly. The High Commander had escaped. Vale gasped in disbelief. He survived. Vaughan's eyes narrowed. Helm, intercept him now. The Revenant pursued the High Commander's craft through the wreckage, weaving between flaming debris. Vale shouted, "Weapons offline. We cannot fire, then we will ram him," Vaughan said coldly. The two ships raced through the void. The High Commander's voice filled the comms with fury. "You will die with me." Terran Vaughan's reply was ice. "No, you will die alone." At the last moment, the Revenant struck the enemy craft with a crushing impact. The smaller vessel shattered, spinning into the void. A brief scream echoed through the comms before silence fell. Vale collapsed into her chair, breathing hard. "Elias, tell me it is." Vaughan stood unmoving, staring at the wreckage. For a long moment he said nothing. Then finally he turned to his crew. "The High Commander is dead. The coalition is finished. The galaxy is free." Cheers erupted through the bridge. Crew members hugged one another, tears streaming down their faces. Vale smiled through her exhaustion. "Elias, we did it. We actually did it." But Vaughan's face remained unreadable. He stared at the stars, his voice quiet. "Freedom is never given. It must be defended, always." Vale frowned. "Elias, what are you saying?" Vaughan finally turned to her. "Humanity has revealed itself to the galaxy. They will fear us, they will hate us, and they will come." Again, Vale's smile faded. "Elias, do you think another war is coming?" Vaughan's cold smile was thin and sharp. "I do not think I know." He walked to the forward window, staring into the darkness of space. The Revenant floated among the ruins of the enemy fleet, smoke trailing from its battered hull, but still alive. Across the galaxy, rebel worlds celebrated their freedom, unaware of the shadow that still lingered. Vaughan's voice was a whisper, meant only for himself. Let them celebrate. For now. Vale stepped beside him, watching the stars. "Elias, what happens next?" Vaughan's eyes glimmered with determination. "Next we prepare, because this was only the beginning." The camera of a hidden probe drifted silently nearby, recording every detail of the Revenant. The image of the Terran warship and its captain was transmitted across unimaginable distances. In a dark, unknown region far beyond charted space, a vast alien council received the transmission. Their many eyes glittered with cold interest as they watched the footage. One voice hissed low and menacing, "The humans are strong, stronger than we expected." They defeated the coalition and killed the High Commander. Another voice, deeper and colder, replied, "Then they must be destroyed, before they grow stronger still." The council fell into silence before the leader finally spoke. "Send the fleets. Prepare the armies. The age of humanity will be brief." Back aboard the Revenant Vale felt a sudden chill, as if sensing unseen eyes watching Elias. She whispered softly, "I have a bad feeling." Vaughn's voice was quiet, but certain. "Your feeling is correct. Vale, the galaxy, is watching, and they are already planning their next move." The Revenant turned slowly, its engines burning as it began the long journey home. Behind them, the wreckage of the Dominion drifted silently in the void. A broken empire lay in ruins, but a darker future loomed just beyond the horizon. As the stars stretched ahead, Elias Vaughn whispered a final vow to himself and to humanity: "We will be ready." And in the endless night of space, unseen enemies gathered and waited, plotting their strike. The War was over.